Welcome to the Great Basin Fire Potential Outlook for August through November for 2015. This is Gina McGuire. First, we'll go through the recent weather conditions over the last several months, along with current fuel conditions, and then move on to the Fire Potential Outlook for August through November. First, looking at the temperature and precipitation in July, we saw below normal temperatures across much of Nevada, Utah, and into southeast Idaho, and also above normal precipitation across much of the Great Basin, with the exception of parts of southern and eastern Nevada into western Utah. Looking back to the start of the water year, October 1st, 2014, this precipitation over the last couple of months has increased our overall amount of precipitation to near or even slightly above normal for parts of southern and eastern Utah, along with western Nevada and small parts of Wyoming into Idaho and northern Nevada. Despite the overall increase in precipitation over the last couple of months and the overall near to just above normal yearly precipitation since October 1st, drought conditions are still extreme to exceptional over the western half of Nevada and into southwest Idaho. These drought conditions have been around for 3 to 4 years, and it will take many more seasons of above normal precipitation to alleviate the drought over the western side of the Great Basin. Further east, we are not seeing as severe conditions over Utah and eastern Nevada, but still we're seeing moderate to severe drought in most areas. The drought outlook through the end of October shows little change in the drought over Nevada, Idaho, and most of Utah. However, still over far southern Nevada into possibly southern Utah, we may see some improvements from the drought or the drought removed, assuming precipitation continues in those areas. An overall summary of the current fuel conditions, we did see quite a bit of late spring and early summer rains, which brought more grass growth in recent years. However, it's still variable across the landscape. The highest fuel loading still exists across parts of the northern two-thirds of Nevada into Utah and parts of Idaho, with still some carryover from 2014. However, fuel moistures are elevated due to the recent moisture, and perennials are still green over parts of the eastern half of the Great Basin especially, due to continued moisture, which is lowering the overall fire risk. The higher elevations are still dry after another very poor year of snowpack, however have responded to the recent moisture, and are still even green in some areas and higher elevations. Sagebrush fuel moisture has been trending downward and are near average across the Great Basin, with still below normal fuel moisture in the pinyon juniper. Now looking at some of the graphs for ERC across the northern half of the Great Basin, ERCs continue to increase due to the drier weather we've seen towards the end of July, but are still generally below normal across Idaho into northeast Nevada. Looking further south and west, over parts of Utah and even into southern Nevada, ERCs have been also increasing and are now above normal in these areas with recent dry weather. Over western Nevada, the increase is also noted, however still ERCs remain below normal. We will continue to see moisture, however, in the early part of August, and this will allow ERCs to decrease. If we look at the live fuel moistures, despite the recent moisture in June and July, we have seen sagebrush fuel moisture generally decrease on average, but still remain near normal across the Great Basin. Even looking at southern and western areas, we've seen this similar trend. However, pinyon juniper fuel moisture still remains well below normal and near record lows at times. Another factor to look at when we think of how much moisture will move up across the Great Basin is the tropical activity over the eastern Pacific. We are currently in a state of El Niño, which is warmer eastern Pacific waters, and this allows for greater potential for tropical activity in hurricanes and tropical storms off the Mexican coast. This moisture will occasionally be pulled north up into the Great Basin. Taking that into consideration, we'll likely see above normal precipitation for the next month or two at times over Utah and especially into southern Nevada, with areas further west and north not quite as high confidence. We'll also continue to see above normal temperatures as we see ridges of high pressure develop in early August and potentially again in September. However, if we look towards the middle of the month of August, after we see increased moisture and warmer temperatures for the early part of the month, we'll see a return to below normal precipitation and below normal temperatures as a trough sets up in the west, allowing for breezy and dry conditions across the Great Basin. Now when we put everything together, the recent weather trends, the fuel moisture and the fuel loading, along with upcoming expected weather patterns, we are expecting normal fire potential across the Great Basin for August through November. However, we may still see short periods of elevated fire potential, especially in August and September, after warm and dry periods. We are expecting a warm and dry period towards the middle of August, and after that we may see a return of either breezy winds or lightning, which may briefly increase fire potential later in the month. We also may see some periods of warmer and drier weather occur at times in September, and this may increase fire potential for short periods if it is followed by lightning or early fall wind events. Otherwise, across the rest of the west, we are seeing above normal fire potential in parts of the northwest and also into central and southern California and in parts of the Sierra, especially on the west slopes. That concludes this briefing. If you have any questions, feel free to contact us. Thank you for listening.